Hi everyone, my name is Quyen, and I would like to talk about rhythmic and expressive activities in health and physical education curriculum. So this focus area helps children to improve a lot of key knowledge and skill. First, they need to learn how to move their whole body by using locomotor, non-locomotor, and manipulative skill in response to music. Secondly, they need to be a little bit imaginative and creative because they need to design and perform their own movement in response to music. The second thing is that children will learn how to understand movement when they work as a group or with a partner, and they need to communicate with them when practicing new skill. Lastly, they can learn through movement. For example, children can learn how to ask for and respond to feedback, not only from their teachers but also from their peers. And they can do some self reflection on themselves as well, like how can they improve certain kind of skill and how can they make it become better. Okay, so why do I think rhythmic and expressive activities are so important in HPE curriculum? Well, I believe that this focus area is an integral part in a child's own rap development, and it can involve 9 out of 10 focus areas in this curriculum. Firstly, when you dance, you need to activate most of your body muscles and improve your coordination skill. That's why dancing can function as a foundation for our physical development and also for our level of fitness. Secondly, dancing brings a holistic wellness because it not only targets in our physical health but also our mental well-being. Because when you dance, you can release negative emotions and also boost your self-esteem and self-confidence. Thirdly, the State Library of Queensland in 2023 claims that dancing can test children's kinesthetic memory and their quick responses to stimuli, which is here music. The next one is relationship because dancing is a group activity. So you need to communicate with your friends and expand your social cycle when you do dancing. The next one is that dancing is very easy to be developed into a lifelong habit because you can do it anytime, anywhere on a daily basis, either at home or in the social public gatherings like a party. The next point is that then music can make games and sports become more engaging and lively because people tend to move their body when they listen to their favorite songs. Last but not least, dancing can be considered as a challenge or adventure for some people, especially those who are too shy to show their emotions via body language. So, kids should be encouraged to try dancing because they can see what they can achieve with their body or what they can push themselves to do with more challenging movements. So when it comes to pedagogical model to teach this focus area, we can actually combine 5 E's model and his strategies to include student voice, student agency, and student leadership. So in the first step, engage, I propose that teachers can use catchy music or trendy music to attract student attention first. Then we can ask students to share something that they know about the song, the composer, or the author. I mean the singer. And we can even create some games with music and dancing as a warm up. The second step, explore. So I suggest letting the student listen to the song and then identify which part is the climax and which activities is suitable for certain parts. The next step is explain. So the first one we need to do is to set goals. We can actually break one big goal for the whole term, like performing a song in front of the school, into smaller goals for each lesson. For example, lesson 1, learn how to dance in the first minute. Lesson 2, learn how to dance for the second minute. Lesson 3, we will combine them all together and have a great performance. The next step is to structure the lesson. The way that we break down the goals can also be one of the good ways to structure the lesson. And inside the lesson, we can scaffold the student learning by breaking down the instruction into smaller steps. And we can only demonstrate one step at a time to make sure that student can follow us. And for Year 2 learner, it's better to teach them only one step at a time and 8 count in a row. And after each row, we need to do a lot of repetition and revision. And the maximum number we can go maybe is 32 steps, which is 4 rows. Otherwise, the student will feel overwhelmed. The next one is explicit teaching. Well, dancing is really transparent, explicit, and clear because we have to do a lot of demonstration and explanation on how to do certain movements. Next, word examples. So teacher can show the student the whole clip of dancing, or they can dance the whole lesson by themselves first before letting the student to imitate them. The next one, multiple exposure. Students have a lot of chances to practice with the home class, with their partner, with a small group. Okay, they can even practice on their own by watching the video again. The next step is elaborate. So first, teacher should use mixed ability grouping method here because I think it's really effective when we ask a high advanced learner to teach a low learner so that they can catch up with the class. Or we can move less confident student to the back and then let them imitate better student at the front until they feel confident enough to step in and then do the performance. The second one is metacognitive strategies. Well, the State Library of Queensland in 2023 also claimed that dancing involves a lot of high-order thinking skill like reasoning, problem solving, decision making, and even thinking. The last one, collaborative learning. Well, dancing is a group activity. They can dance with a partner, with a small group, or even with the whole class. So definitely this is a very important skill, but a strategy that we need to include. And then this is also a very good part for them to practice their student leadership by teaching their friends how to do certain things and helping them to fix the movement. The last one is evaluate. So teacher can ask questions to check the student understanding. It is recommended that they should ask simple, short, yes/no question in sports and dancing activity. And we can also encourage students to ask their own question when they don't remember what to do or how to do certain steps. In terms of feedback, teacher can give general feedback for the whole class or individual feedback when they move around and observe the students. And students can also benefit a lot from the peer feedback. So we try to encourage group members to give feedback to each other when they work as a group. However, it is important that teacher need to modify the requirements in the evaluation according to the age group. For example, for Year 2 learners, we can simply ask them to design movements with hands and feet. But when it comes to Year 5 and 6, we can ask them to add some complex movements like jumping, hopping in their music dancing. Okay, now, so we will take a look at the overview of 3 pieces of current research in this focus area. So the first research I took a look at is by Bazou and her research team done in 2020. So they made an experimental quantitative research on the effect of including rhythmic and expressive activities in a normal traditional PE lesson. And they found out 2 things. First, the 2 group, control group and experimental group, have the same level of physical activities, including locomotor, non-locomotor, and manipulatives. The second finding is that although student engagement in both groups are really high, but the engagement in rhythmic and expressive activity is significantly lower than traditional PE lesson. The reason for this is that maybe students are asked to do new activities which they have never done before, like um, clapping with music, singing, or moving to the beat. But in general, student feedback and parental reactions are very positive, which confirms the positive effects from previous findings that rhythmic and expressive activities have on motor skill and executive functions. So the second research is by Indal, Lundvall, and Barker in 2023. These researchers noticed the lack of creativity in dancing lessons. The reason for this is that teachers focus too much on the correctness of movement and tend to teach a pre-arranged set of movement to their children. So they have three suggestions to improve the creativity aspect in dancing lesson. First, we should choose music with unpredictable melody. Second, we can ask students to improvise on the spot. Thirdly, we can ask students to interpret stories through movement. And finally, we should include playfulness in our lesson because when children play, they don't feel afraid of making mistakes. The last research I took a look at is by Gibbs, Quyen and Larson in 2017. So these researchers make a really interesting suggestion that we should use Dance Extra Game, which is a video game involving a lot of physical movement in PE dancing lesson. The reason for this is that teachers sometimes are too busy to memorize and reproduce the whole set of movements for a song, or they are just too shy and not confident about their ability to dance. So they can use this Dance Extra Game as a teaching resource in the lesson so that they can have more time for teaching, planning, and observing or giving feedback to the children. And I think this is something for a teacher like me who is not really confident with dancing, although I really love music and dancing along with the music. Okay, so the last part of my presentation is to propose a 50-minute lesson activity by focusing on this focus area, which is rhythmic and expressive activities. So the learning outcome is that at the end of the lesson, students will be able to perform rhythmic patterns by using non-locomotor and locomotor actions. Secondly, students will be able to show an awareness of beats. And finally, they can share and perform their sequence with other people. About curriculum connection. Well, in this activity, students need to perform fundamental movement skills like clapping, stomping, moving backward and forwards. Secondly, students need to use their creativity to design and perform simple movement sequences in response to music. Thirdly, students need to use strategies to work as a group or with a partner when practicing movement. And finally, they need to propose a range of alternatives and test this effectiveness when solving movement challenge, which is a musical statue game. So how can we know the students are successful? If we can see the student dance by moving hands and feet in smooth coordination in response to music, rhythm, and beats, it means they become successful. Or they can demonstrate good locomotors and non-locomotors. So this is a summary of my activity. Its name is Hands and Feet, Rhythm and Beat. So I will let the student listen to the song once, and then I will do warm-up activity with them for the hands first by creating a simple 8 counts using hands to make sound like clapping or tapping on the shoulder or tapping on the thigh. Then we will move on to have some warm-up for the feet, also creating 8 simple counts to make a rhythm. But this time we use feet to make the sound, like stomping the whole foot on the floor or stomping just the heel on the floor. And then I will try to combine both hands and feet movement in a simple rhythm, a rhythmic pattern. And finally, to make it more challenging, I will ask the student to travel sideways or moving backward and forward while they do the hand and feet coordination. But this is very important that teacher need to demonstrate traveling with feet separately from moving the hands, and then we will combine them together later so that student can know what you want to do and then can follow you and without feeling overwhelmed. So I will end the lesson by a game called musical statue. The rules are very simple. I will play music and they can dance around by using hand and feet movement that I have already taught them. Or they can just use their own freestyle, but I prefer that they can use the thing that they have learned from class. And when I stop the music, they need to stay still like a statue. So anyone who move have to be out, or anyone who stop last have to be out to make it more challenging. So that's it. That is the end of my presentation. Thanks for listening.